Hello, everyone. I am Supriya Kharka, an incoming PhD student at George Mason University, and today I'll be talking about our systematization of knowledge on pedagogical, health, ethical, and privacy challenges of extended reality in early childhood education. So imagine a kindergarten classroom. On the left, a 5-year-old child uses augmented reality tablet to watch a digital plant sprout from a textbook. On the right, a 4-year-old wears a virtual reality headset to explore the solar system. It looks like a pedagogical utopia. But while these children are captivated, that heavy headset, which is actually designed for an adult, is placing unnatural physical strain on a developing neck. At the same time, the hardware is silently logging their biometric data and physical movements. So we are trading physical comfort and privacy for a fleeting moment of engagement. To systematically identify these risks, we conducted a systematization of knowledge, or SoK, of 111 peer reviewed empirical studies. We strictly focused on the early childhood education, or ECE deployments for children aged 3 to 8. We look at the studies published between 2010 and 2025 using the PRISMA methodology. Our objective was to quantify how technical, pedagogical, health, privacy, and equity challenges arise in practice. So, what does the current landscape look like? Geographically, this research is global, with the highest concentrations originating from China, Turkey, and Indonesia. Technologically, augmented reality completely dominates this field, representing 73% of all ECE studies. Because of this, standard mobile phones, tablets are the primary hardware, used in 63% of deployments. Head mounted displays account for less than 10% of the research. Pedagogically, researchers are focusing heavily on language and literacy, as well as on STEM applications. To synthesize these 111 studies, we designed an analytical lens called the Augmented Human Development, or the AHD framework. This models the interaction between the child and the system using 4 core variables. C is the cognitive load, which deals with demands on memory, attention, and executive functions. S is a sensory stimulation, which includes visual complexity, motion cues, sound, and hardware immersion. E is the environmental context, which comprises of aspects like teacher mediation, classroom noise, and data governance. And D is the child's unique developmental profile, which are the child's motor abilities, pre-literacy, sensory sensitivity, and age. The crucial insight here is that the risks emerge when these 4 pillars fall out of alignment. Now, let's use this framework to actually identify the key gaps. We start with the technical limitations. Through the AHD lens, technical errors are actually biophysical mismatches. For example, target tracking loss is pervasive on mobile AR because the camera stability required by the system conflicts with a young child's developing fine motor skills. Similarly, there is frequent hardware misalignment in VR HMDs because headsets ignore the early childhood cranial dimensions. To mitigate these failures, researchers rely heavily on environmental scaffolding, like strictly controlling the classroom lighting or having adults manually adjust the headsets. Pedagogically, this is a triad of friction between the child, the teacher, and the system design. First, high sensory stimulation often exceeds the child's cognitive capability, causing a novelty effect rather than genuine learning. Second, text heavy systems instructions ignore the pre literacy constraints of this age group. Finally, teachers struggle to manage the resulting XR ecology, where they are not habituated with the technology and hence fail to control the classroom. Real mitigation requires simplifying the interfaces with images to lower the cognitive load and provide long term developments to strengthen the classroom environment. When we look at health, high immersion system creates physical strain on the child's development physiology. VR visual inputs mismatch the physical inputs, causing pervasive cyber sickness. We also see that heavy headsets creates cranial load, while tablets cause constant postural strain. Because we cannot easily change the manufacturer's hardware, the mitigations rely on environmental controls, such as strictly gating the usage to 10 or 20 minutes to prevent harm. We also identified equity and accessibility challenges. We look at it from two perspectives: the inclusion for children with disabilities and constraints in low resource settings. Standard XR systems are optimized for typical child in a resource rich setting, which systematically excludes diverse learners. Only 13 out of 111 studies focused on disabilities. Interestingly, for neurodivergent children, researchers intentionally use VR to tightly control sensory stimulation and block out environmental triggers. In low resource systems, or low resource settings, cloud dependent systems completely fail when internet access is unstable. To prevent these deepening inequalities, developers must design for older legacy hardware, open access licensing, and offline operation. Finally, we get to a massive governance failure: the data privacy. 61 studies addressed in privacy, but almost entirely focus on procedural parental consent. Only 7 studies discuss technical security architectures. The continuous capture of a child's gaze, motion, and speech is largely unscrutinized from a data security perspective. To mitigate this, system architecture must be aligned with privacy by implementing air gap local storage, strict access controls, and encryption. We map all of this in risk versus attention matrix. A stark reality emerges after we do this mapping. The field aggressively optimizes for pedagogy and technical issues. These sit in the comfort zone with high scholarly attention, that means a lot of research papers, but lower real world risk. However, the most severe irreversible risks, namely data security and low resource access, they sit on the top left quadrant. These are critical blind spots that the academic community is largely ignoring. Hence, we advocate for child centered XR. We must ensure that the developmental alignment by simplifying interaction flows. We must approach fully immersive VR with extreme caution for ages 3 to 8 due to physical strain. Systems must also be secure by default with strong data minimization and transparent regularity compliance. Our ultimate goal is that we need to approach early childhood XR as AHD aligned learning environment that sometimes uses XR rather than XR systems searching for pedagogical justification. Thank you so much. We look forward to your questions.